Hello and welcome to issue 9 of The Titanic, The Ship, The Legend by Hachette Partworks. As I said, we're now working on issue number 9 and we have the parts in this box here and the magazine issue itself, which we'll have a quick look at in a second. But first, let's have a look inside this box to see what parts we got this time. Okay, so here we have all the parts laid out right in front of us. As you can see, we have some more sections for the bow. And a bit of ribbing here, which will attach to the last bow piece we had previously, on the starboard side. I may be incorrect there. We have some more pieces here, which include more deck pieces and some rodding. And of course, the old trusty screws. Okay, so before we start assembling all that, let's have a look at the magazine first. And with issue 9, as you can see, you've got 4 parts here. So the Giants of the Sea, the Edwardian era, life on board, and step-by-step instructions. As you can see, we've got the floating hotel as part of the Giants of the Sea. You can see some deck plans here. Very nice. We have the Edwardian era, the talkies, giving Titanic a voice. We have life on board, the attraction of the Turkish culture. And of course, we have assembling the bow pieces. So that's the magazine done. And let's get building. Okay, so here we have all the items that we're going to need in this issue, as well as issue 6 here with the starboard hull. So what we're going to need is take this joining panel, this little ribbing here, and we need to put this on the back of this hull here. So with these little connections, they just fit into this little slots here. So just push it in. It should stay in place. Just like that. And then just to secure it, we're going to need some AM screws. Now these are the AM screws. They'll come in their own little packet. I'll say AM on them. And then we just need to screw these into these holes here. Okay, so just taking these little sections here, these little screws, and we're just going to screw them in. I'm going to start with the top first. And then just screw that in. Just like that. And I'm going to do the same for the next 4 down below. Okay, so I've now installed them and screwed in the screws into these sections. And you can see now it's even more sturdier than it was before. Now it's got the extra ribbing on the back. So that with that section there done. And what we need to do now is take the top strip section here of the hull, and it needs to sit on top of the hull here. Now you can see there are some grooves and some notches there. All you need to do is put that basically in place on top of that. So let's turn this around, and that's essentially where it's going to sit, on those little notches there. And again, with the AM screws, we're going to screw them in on top just to secure that plate down onto the hull. Take one of the screws, AM screw, put it in top, and then we'll screw that in tight. Don't know how well you can see this on camera. And the other screw as well, just on top, just to screw that in. And there we have it. The screws are now screwed in the top, and the shear line of the top section here is also now in place, and it's quite nice. Okay, so now that we've attached this section on top, it's all screwed in and secure, what we need to do is attach these rods. So you've got the first one here, which is slightly chunkier and smaller at the end. This needs to go into this little section at the top here, just like so, and that should hold against the next part of the hull. And vice versa, take the longer rod, and that needs to be inserted into that little section there. Just push that in place, and hopefully that should hold quite nicely. Once that's all been completed, what we need to do is bring in the other section of the hull, the port side of the hull, from your previous issues, a couple of issues ago. And we need to combine these together. Now there are some grooves in this. So there are 3 stubs here, 4 including the top one, and there are 4 notches on this side as well. And they need to match and link together, because that's where you're going to screw these parts together. So you want to fold them in, like so, and they need to attach. Just like so. You can just see the seam here of the keeled line here. That should be a good guide in making sure these are all attached. Now, we want to get the rest of the AM screws and screw these in place. So with these additional screws, we're going to put 1 at the top, 1 in this little hole here, and 2 in the bottom holes there as well. So I'm just going to start screwing this one in. And you want to make sure that's quite tight as well. So this seam here is quite well joined together. And then we can continue with the other screws in the other sections here as well. So just going to pop that screw in, screw that in, and screw in the other 2 at the bottom as well. And there you have it. The 2 sections screwed together. So all 4 holes are screwed. You can see now that the seam is quite unnoticeable, how it's sort of all been flushed together quite nicely. And then you can just take your little stand that you got in the previous issue, and then hopefully the ship should just stand up. Lovely. That's quite nice actually, a little stand. It'll help during the build process anyway. So thank you for watching issue 9 of the Builder Titanic, the ship, the legend. As you can see, we've got the magazine, the parts we made today, and also some additional parts here that we're going to need for a next issue basically. So I'm going to make sure that these plastic parts here and the screws are kept safe for the next issue. So thank you for watching, and I hope to catch you next time. Have a good one.